Hey, today I thought about a lot of things. But mainly I just realized that usually people talk about something to perform that they have certain social currency within a certain group. For example, like the tension I'm currently in is that while a lot of international students are performing they're very Americanized so that they can gain status within the international students community. Well, I think I'm more like I am ideologically or like I'm more identified with American, but not out of the need to perform Americanness to my international peers, because I lost almost my all my international friends. So I feel like when I'm trying to say that I have an American ex girlfriend or I have American friends or we're talking about certain things, they might mistaken it as I'm trying to perform that belong to America or belong to a higher status. But actually, I'm just telling them that I am actually aligned with that institute, American as an institution, a culture, a collection of people, or a nation. So I just feel like when you're turning to examine what people want to present as a social capital and who their audience is, the whole issue become much more clearer. So, for example, I'm trying to learn how to present confidence or ease, social ease, to Americans. I'm not trying to perform it to international students. Well, mimicking Americanness mimicking Americanness to perform to international students. That's a real different thing. You're not trying to learn a core. You're not trying to present it to the American audience. You're trying to present to someone else about their imagination about Americanness. So I wasn't able to see it very clearly when I was talking to my friend earlier, or a girl, American girl I really like. I was I I was confusing this too. I feel like when I was trying to say the signal that I really like someone American, that that's like not only the true reflection of what I'm really feeling, but also a signal of identification and cultural alignment. While the other person might take it as a signal for superiority or something like that. And I feel like once I was involved in that power dynamics, I was kind of like completely disoriented. I feel like I'm just trying to hold two different worlds together. I'll assume that the international students community is quite close to American culture in a way, so the tension is pretty minimal, but actually the tension is quite huge. The international student actually mastered a lot of so-called like Western liberalism in terms of their terminology, how to present worldview, or how to interpret the information. But the information is curated in a way that benefit the international community. They're not trying to perceive the whole liberalism in terms of American ideal, American society, for example. In American society, there's a real struggle of interests. Like the liberals trying to see immigrants as like with a more opening gesture, while the conservatives are trying to you know deport the illegal immigrants and protect American interests. So if you're an international student, you might side with liberalism, but for a very selfish purpose, which is to protect yourself as an American as an international student, which means that you're benefiting from the liberals agenda, and that's why you're siding with the ideology. So I don't think that's a true reflection of alignment. It's just like a reflection of self-interest. And your interest is not trying to align with American interests. I think that's the problem. So I think one of the event that demonstrate this hypocrisy is when the U.S. was protesting Chinese government's intervention of Hong Kong status quo, the Chinese students are trying to protest um, against the U.S. government's action, U.S. government's comment or action. I'm not sure, but the irony is that they are protesting in a country that allow you to protest, allow you to freely associate. They were not able to do that thing in China, so there is a very, very strong irony there. Then you can see that people are trying to use the institutional rule to promote their own interest. So I think a lot of superficial liberalism is tailored to the specific purpose. So now when I think about it, when I was trying to understand liberalism in a more complete and holistic terms, it started to doesn't make sense for me. When I stay in China and see the whole society as a more complicated whole, I started to realize that ideological alignment is not that, oh, you're learning that from book and it makes sense within certain media ecology. It's more like is a lived experience that it reflects your complex positioning within society. So if you are trying to position yourself as a liberal, but you're just learning that from school, you're not exposed to general society and truly embodied what it tells you, or what the ideology actually resemble or advocates. Then there's a very high chance that you're just lying to yourself, lying to everyone else around you in a way to promote your status, using that as a social capital. So in this way, I feel like there's a very useful way to test whether what you learn and what you believe is truly what you learn and what you believe, is to expose yourself to a more complex society, to test your own position by receiving different inputs, by facing the complexity rather than flattening out. Then, so like the true self is not something that you know it in a very peaceful environment or in an environment that devoid of challenge. You need to challenge yourself, challenge your assumption by seeing different perspective and really expose yourself to a really complicated social situations to actually understand what your social positioning exactly is, so that you can unravel, so that you can actually live a more embodied life. That's like speaking from a mind-body connection perspective. What you learn, what you talk about, um, and what you present to others as what your mind really think, doesn't necessarily mean that it reflects what your body actually feels. Sometimes it's just like a surface level identification. So people really need to take a step back and try to question, you know, what they believe is truly what they feel identified with.